What's up, everyone? Lucas Larson here with Dissected Art. And today I want to discuss why it is Dissected Art suspension hooks are so expensive. I get a lot of people who I can see through my web analytics design some pretty beautiful and elaborate suspension hooks on dissectedart.com, and then they get to the checkout screen and then apparently they get sticker shock and cancel the order, which I can understand. This is a fish hook. This fish hook, I can get a pair of them for about $1. It takes me about a minute and a half or so to grind off the barb, and then you can suspend from it. So why does this pair of hooks right here $250 and this pair of hooks $1? Is this 250 times better as a suspension hook? Probably not, depending on how you want to look at it. But I don't actually look at this as a suspension hook. This I see as less of a suspension hook and more of a piece of jewelry that you can also suspend from. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into these, a lot that lies beneath the surface that obviously you can't see. So I'd like to sort of go over some of these aspects of it and what makes these, what drives up the cost so much, because there are many, many hours of work to make these. Like I said, this only takes me about a minute and a half. So, is $250 a justifiable amount to spend on this hook? Well, for me, it isn't, simply because I don't have all that much money. Despite these being expensive, that doesn't really mean I'm making a lot of money off of it. Whenever you calculate up all the time that was spent developing the design and perfecting the processes to bring them to this level of quality, to really jewelry level standards, whenever you add all that up, I'm pretty lucky if I'm even breaking minimum wage at this point. I have not actually been financially viable with this company. I've always, even over 10 years now, I've been making suspension equipment. I've never been able to actually survive off of it. I've always done other work, and unfortunately, that's not sustainable. Ultimately, I have student loans I have to pay back, and if I can't find a way to make money off of the equipment I possess, that I purchased to make this stuff, I won't be able to make this stuff anymore. I will have to sell that equipment. So anyway, I thought I'd explain these just in case these are not something I am financially able to continue making forever. I want the people who do appreciate this to be able to get a pair before that day comes. And I am getting ready to take time off. I'm releasing my film, The People Who Suspend, this summer, and it's going to eat up a lot of my time. It's my biggest priority. It's the biggest financial investment I've ever made in a creative project, and I'm determined to make at least a little bit of my money back. And that has a much higher likelihood than making money off of these. So let's talk about these. I've got a few designs here that I wanted to show specifically. This one is all anodized titanium, except for the bolt. The bolt was left polished. The pin, you can see, is sort of an aqua green. It's sort of between blue and green, depending on how you look at it. You can even see a little bit of purple whenever it reflects. This is a really difficult color to get. It took a long time, and every time I mess it up, I have to polish it again, clean it again, and then start over. So getting it to this color was difficult, but you can see the contrast between the pin and the purple frames. And then you can see this also has the DMT molecule on it. And if you're not familiar with this, this is a sacred extract for a lot of people. And a lot of people compare this extract to the experience of suspending. Some people just want something a little bit, you know, fancier. These are hearts that have actually been engraved on here. I do all the engraving with a diamond. So it's actually a diamond that drags against the surface. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on here, but I actually plan out the tool paths to where it gives this repeating pattern. Because it drags the tip of this diamond and then it moves over 2 thousandths of an inch. That's 0.002 inches over. And then it makes the exact same pattern again. And that's why you get this repeating pattern spiraling in, which looks really good. It's hard to make it look perfect with certain designs, but hearts are symmetrical and it just works really well like that. These I've also drilled and tapped holes to accept jewelry screwed in. So I've got those. Actually, all of these are tapped. Here is another one. I sort of designed this from scratch, but this has a tapped hole down the center also. Excuse me. And this is a really nice one. I like the color patterns because I did a bronze pin and then purple on the frames, but then I matched the tips of the pins with the frames. So where they come out, they're the same color, but in the center, they're bronze. Really, I think, beautiful. So actually, these 3 pairs, I've actually had an inventory for a number of months now, and I am currently making my last batch of titanium custom hooks before the release, and I won't be making any more. I'm totally out of material after this, so there will be no more titanium hooks. The standard stainless steel thread locks, I'm making a ton of those, so I should be stocked and able to fill orders all through the break. But as far as the custom titanium ones, they take a lot of time to make. It's a lot of back and forth with the person who is ordering the hooks just to get the design perfect and make sure I don't make hooks that they end up not liking. That's really devastating. And just to give you an idea of how nerve-wracking this process is, drilling and tapping the holes for this jewelry is the very last step of the process. And so that means if one of these holes gets messed up, if a drill bit breaks in there, if a tap breaks in there, literally that hook is scrapped. And that's devastating. That's just hours of work down the drain. And these can't just be made start to finish. They really have to be done in batches, otherwise I'll never get anything done. I mean, it would take me a week to get a single pair of hooks done if I was going start to finish on that hook. So it has to be done in batches to even have the possibility of profit. But anyway, for those of you who, you know, $250 is a lot of money for a pair of hooks. Some of these are actually even more than that if you were to just have them made. So I'm actually going to be selling these 3 pairs at the time of this video being uploaded. I'm listing all of these for just $150 a pair. So first come, first serve, get them off the website. And if you want custom hooks, if you find value in these, if you want to put these on a necklace and wear them around your neck whenever you're not suspending from them, it warms my heart. It warms my heart that suspension means so much to people that they would, want to have more than just a fish hook. And fish hooks work. And by the way, now we have Mustad hooks that, the primary company that's making the fish hooks we use for suspension. Hova from Wings of Desire has actually made a deal with Mustad, and they've made some without barbs. So if you can't afford these, totally get it. He's got these for dirt cheap. Obviously, there's limitations. These certainly aren't as safe as using something like this. They can open up. ultimately the worst case scenario from this failing is supposed to be losing a fish. Hopefully you have a harness on if this fails, which they do. I mean, they've failed on a lot of people. But, you know, these have never broken. I have yet to have a single person even show me a picture of a pin that's bent. This is grade 23 titanium. It's extremely strong. It's much, much stronger than commercially pure titanium, which is used for most jewelry. It's much higher quality. I really spared no expense with it because this is more important to me than any artistic project I've ever created. And I absolutely did not set out to make the cheapest product. I set out to make the best possible suspension hook that could be created. And I think I did that. I mean, honestly, I think any enhancements over this just increase the complexity, they drive the cost up more, and they really don't make it any better. I mean, the fact that this can be opened for use without disassembling it, the fact that the needle fits on so perfectly that it stays on its own. All of these things took forever. Forever. The difference between this pin rattling off and sticking is 1/1000th of an inch, 0.001 inches. That is how close the tolerances have to be in order for this to be the outcome. And it still comes right off. You can't get any more secure than that. But anyway, again, even showing you all these details, I understand how this price, the sticker shock is too much for some people to get past. I understand it. I don't take it any personally. It's not a slight against my work or anything. Like I said, I can't even afford these for myself. I don't own a pair of suspension hooks this nice. I've thought about making myself a pair, but after putting in that many hours into making a pair, I want to get paid for those hours. So maybe one day I will make a pair for myself. But as much as I love these, I have student loans, and there's a good chance I'm going to have to eventually move into products that can that are more lucrative, things that I can make a little more money off of, products that belong to a market of consumers that is bigger than hundreds. I mean, realistically, of all the people suspending, not many people would ever consider buying hooks like these. And I understand that. But that also makes it very difficult to continue making them when I'm not really making any money off of it. I do plan on making some videos, a series of videos, showing people step by step how I make these suspension hooks. I think once people see it, they will decide that it is not a financially viable product to make. It's something to make because you absolutely love suspension, but you need to have some other way to make money if you're going to try to make suspension hooks. Otherwise, you're just going to run yourself into the ground and you're going to be really stressful. And unfortunately, a lot of people who, you know, their only contribution to suspension hooks is criticizing them. And that is not very productive towards moving to a point where everyone can have good suspension hooks, because you trash someone's reputation making unfounded claims, and you just make it harder for suspension hooks to even be created. And we drive people out of making suspension hooks rather than helping bring them up, which is really what I would like to do. I'm really, really proud of Hova for organizing this with the fish hooks. It's a huge step forward. To turn a company on our side with suspension, a fish hook company, is remarkable. Hova is an excellent ambassador for suspension, and I really appreciate all the support he's provided myself personally, as well as everyone in suspension. So definitely, if these are out of your price range, totally get it. These are there. Use them within their limitations, because obviously there are some. but they've worked for a long time and they're probably going to continue to work even if they do fail from time to time. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys right now. I hope this was informative. Go to dissectedart.com. Get there quick. At $150, these really are not going to last very long. It does not include the jewelry, okay? Just to put in perspective how much these, how inexpensive these are, whenever you compare them to the actual pieces of jewelry, I'm going to throw up on the screen a picture of a pair of hooks I made. The jewelry in this pair of hooks totaled up to double the cost of the hooks. And that's a whole bunch of the same part. So making these hooks, which are many different parts, many different components being assembled together, which means the tolerances have to be extremely precise. To take a rod of titanium and turn it into a pin, to turn a plate of titanium into these frames, and to turn a larger titanium rod into this bolt is a tremendous amount of work. I hope you subscribe to the fan page so that I can show you this complete how-to guide on how to make suspension hooks. I think it'll be enlightening for a lot of people. And while I think it will mostly scare people away from the concept of making suspension hooks, there might be someone in there who says, hey, this is actually something I want to get into. And I hope that person uses this video to, make the quality of their product comparable to the standards that I carry for my own. And do it out of love. We do this because we love it. And anyway, check out dissectedart.com. Go to thepeoplewhosuspend.com and you can find out more about the film. Get on the mailing list, and that way you can be notified about the premiere, which is right around the corner, guys. The film is done. I'm just going through the legal process and getting clearance for all the archive stuff. Lots and lots of work. That's another video. Thank you all for watching.